Hi, everyone. I want to jump on today and talk about something that is so serious in my life right now. And it is a symptom that just seems to not go away. And that is issues with my cognitive. Um, I've been working on something. I've been working on something now for about month and a half, probably even longer than that. And I realize as I sit here in all my Roxanneism, I sit here realizing that I have an issue with cognitive. And remember, cognitive can be memory problems, attention and concentration problems, processing speeds, executive function, as well as language and communication. And I think we talked about language and communication problems a couple of days in a row because we talked about the inability to find our words. And every once in a while, you can see me struggle with that as I go to say something and I have to stop. And for your sake, I go ahead and find another word because I know trying to wait for the word I want to use might take too long. So I entitled this A Day in the Life of an MSer with Cognitive Issues. I have been working on something and it is a labor of love. I kind of have always said I hate awareness months because, in all reality, the rest of us, like MS, we deal with it longer than a month. Somebody who's struggling with suicidal ideations, they deal with it longer than a month or a week. So I've been wanting to come up with these t shirts that talk about that or that have something on it about that. And as I design these t-shirts, I'm having to follow along with how to get them in an Etsy store to kind of go public so people can see it because everyone has an issue they're dealing with, right? We deal with MS, other people deal with lupus, someone else might deal with cancer, someone else might deal with suicidal ideations. I believe we have a problem putting things on a hierarchy. I'm not that way. I believe illness is illness. So I've seen myself go back and forth trying to learn things by watching YouTube videos and literally having to stop and rewind, and stop and rewind again. But that's not how many times I have to stop and rewind. I have to do it like 10 times. I mean, I'm sitting here listening. I've heard you. I know what you're saying to do, but I have to hear it again. That could be seen as a memory problem. Someone else might watch over my head and say, "What's the problem? You're not paying attention," which would put it as attention and concentration difficulties, which I know I have. We've also talked about people who have chronic illnesses usually have more than one. I know I have mental health issues, one of them being ADHD, adult ADHD. So I know I have a problem with attention deficit issues. And I tend to try to deal with that by taking magnesium because I think you guys already know what I'm about to say. There's no need to add any more medicine to this girl's block of medicine. Where is it? My block of medicine. Let's see. Don't need to add any more. I have plenty. So I've added the supplement magnesium. And to be totally honest, it has been working, but I have to be consistent with it. Like I always need to take it. And there was a while when I went out of town, I got off of it. I saw some issues with the concentration, the attention thing, but I felt like I wasn't working, so it wasn't going to make a difference, right? Let's talk about that processing speed. When the guy says to do something, look, this is a day in the life. Okay, this is a day in the life. I'm coming to you real. I've had this issue all day long. I've had it for 6 weeks, and I've been trying to do the same thing. And I don't understand why I'm not picking up what he's putting down. So I've watched the same guy. I've just now start watching another guy go through this, and I'm realizing it may just be a processing speed problem. Processing meaning that I'm not in my head taking in information and getting to that solution that I should find. So, processing speed, MS, can slow down a person's ability to process information, which can make tasks that require quick thinking or decision making more challenging. Strategies such as allowing more time to complete tasks, simplifying tasks or instructions, and breaking down tasks into smaller steps can help. It might help to break it down in smaller steps. I will agree with that. Sometimes it's hard to do that because you're kind of wanting to maintain some level of maturity, for the lack of a better word. I don't want to break things down in smaller steps like I have to break it down for my 5-year-old nephew. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's hard to acknowledge that I actually have to have things broken down for me in multiple ways, or at if I'm in a particular situation, someone might have to break down something for me several times. And my preference is someone who is patient and gentle and acknowledges the fact that A, it's not just a physical issue. So for those of you who are watching and you hear me talk about grace, glamour, and grit, people with multiple sclerosis have to give themselves a lot of grace, because we have to not only educate other people, but we have to be clear with ourselves, being understanding of things that are going on that we may not know of yet. I cannot imagine someone recently diagnosed with multiple sclerosis thinking that it's only a physical condition and not realizing that your nerves and your synapses and all those things that we learned in psychology, that all those things are not meeting up anymore. And that goes for the cognitive as well. So that is the processing part of it. Processing speed. I need to break it down more. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I might have to come back to you guys and tell you how I feel about that. No, I've told you how I feel about it. Let's see if I actually do it, because I have the solution. Is to break it up in smaller chunks. Attention and concentration difficulties. as I said, a lot of people who have cognitive issues usually have more than one. I have mental health issues. I have ADHD. I also had trigeminal neuralgia. So hopefully that is gone forever. I had brain surgery for that. But hi, Emilio. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying. But I'm going to see how the next step will work out. That's attention and concentration. So, making it harder to stay focused on tasks or conversations. Mm. Strategies such as taking frequent breaks, using timers or alarms to help stay on task, and minimizing distractions, turning off notifications on electronic devices, working in a quiet environment and a clean environment. I say that for myself because sometimes my workspace can become very distracting. Or quieter environment can be beneficial. So I'm going to give you a solution that I've used, and I believe that I just forget every once in a while to use it. I set my alarm to go off every hour on the hour. Those are work hours. So between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m., because it takes me longer to do things. So my day is very long, but I've been trying to get into a routine where I am winding down for bed at 8, getting in bed at 9, hopefully asleep by 10. Just started that. But what I haven't just started is the setting the alarm. So if I am working 9 to 5, let's say that, I will set my alarm for 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, so on and so forth. So when that alarm goes off, if my attention has been distracted and I'm off doing something else, or I'm concentrated on things that are not going to get me anywhere in my day, that alarm goes off and it kind of jerks me back into where I need to be. I need to pay attention. I need to get to work. There are things that need to be done. That has worked amazingly for me. I would definitely say to give that a try. I've been doing that for a while now. I did get away from it, but now that I've read this and written this, I'm thinking, like, you might want to go back to that, Roxanne. So remember, we're talking about a day in the life. I'm being completely transparent with you. I struggled today. I feel like I did not get anything done or anything accomplished because I'm going to have to do the same thing again that I started to do today. I'm going to have to go back into Etsy. I'm going to have to go back into doing all these things that I've actually made a list on paper, if you guys can see. Look at that. So I've made a list on these huge post-it notes so I can remind myself the things that I have to work on. To-do lists. To-do lists are good, but I feel like they're only good for me if I'm actually getting particular things done. Anything done. So we talked about language and communication, executive function. Guess what? Guess what, Amelia? Executive function, MS, can affect a person's ability to plan, organize, and initiate tasks, as well as switch between tasks or adapt to changing circumstances. Strategies such as creating lists or schedules, breaking down tasks into smaller steps, using visual cues or reminders, and practicing problem solving techniques can be helpful. Okay. It surely can be. All of those. We've talked about the alarm, visual techniques, because I have this posted. It's this huge post-it on the wall. And just, but just the, just realizing, just the realization that executive function is and can be a problem for people who have multiple sclerosis. Remember that. I need you all to remember that, because this is an illness that is a disability. One of our disabilities, it is a disability. One of the symptoms of that disability is having cognitive issues. One of those cognitive issues is executive function. You need to use executive function at work, right? When we talk about inclusion, I've always wanted to talk to HR people about this, because when we talk about inclusion, I believe a lot of people are including those with disabilities, but you cannot put all of us in the same box, because our disability with MS has a lot to do with our, not a lot, not only to do with, not a lot to do with, but includes cognitive issues. We have executive functioning issues, communication problems, processing speed, attention and concentration, and memory problems. And I, for one, because for some reason I haven't been putting the period at the end of my sentences, but I, for one, feel like we really have to be taken into consideration when it comes to inclusion, because people are thinking about the wheelchair or the walker or the cane. But, and even if we are visually impaired or auditory impairment, because some of those things come with MS, optic neuritis, hearing. Again, all of us don't go through the same things. But how are we being included if our problem is cognitive and we need to come in and work for a corporation or an organization? How are they taking us into consideration when they're talking about inclusion? So I feel like I've gone all over the place, but a day in the life of someone with MS, going all over the place, that's one of those things that's wrong. They said attention and concentration. Some of you feel like I'm going all over the place, but I did stick with cognitive at least. Remember, everybody who has MS do not, all people who have MS do not have the same symptoms. MS can cause those of us who have it to struggle with cognitive, physical, with digestive, a lot. Just a lot of things can go on with multiple sclerosis. But as I say this, I want you all to think of the ways that you can bring your attention back to what it is you need to be focused on and what you need to think about. I want you to make sure that there's no one who is not understanding the ramifications of what MS does to the cognitive, because it'll look like you're just not paying attention, just not able to do the same things, not able to speak well. It's not you, it's the MS. So want you all to stick up for yourselves. Remember that cognitive, I don't think I said it here. I think when I saved my information, I said the cognitive sucks because it does. But there are ways to work around it, and there are people who can be part of your lives that can work with you. Your speech therapist, occupational therapy, there are people who can be a part of your life that will work with you as well. So I'm glad I got the opportunity to jump on today. And I want you guys to have a great weekend. Hopefully, I will see you tomorrow. My expectation is that I will. And hopefully, I get done finally with all this stuff I've been trying to do, which is why I'm late today. I want you guys to take care of yourself. I will see you soon. Bye.